Hello and welcome. Come meet me on your mat for ways to break down a vinyasa in your yoga practice. So a vinyasa translates in Sanskrit to place in a special way. Oftentimes, vinyasas are used in flow type practices to link different sequences together between switching sides, and as well as to link breath to movement. So there is a number of different ways that you can vinyasa in a yoga practice, and I want to break down a few ways that can feel a little bit more supportive and give you options as you do move through a flow in a yoga practice. So when you're ready, you can come meet me on your mat in a downward facing dog. So when you come to your mat, start in all fours, hands and knees. You can tuck both of your toes under and lift your knees from the mat to take that first downward facing dog and open up the back line of your legs. So oftentimes in a flow practice, you'll move through a vinyasa either from a downward facing dog or a forward fold. We're gonna start in a downward facing dog to break this down. So in your dog, you can move forward to a high plank position. Now, you're going to place both of your knees down onto the ground. This is a modified high plank position. And I would recommend to start your first vinyasa in any yoga practice this way just to warm up the body. So you start in your low plank, draw the low belly in, push the hands down and puff up through the upper back. And then your exhale is just going to bend your elbows. Now, when you bend your elbows, you want them narrow to the side body. So your elbows are pulling into your ribs. And then you support yourself as you lower all the way down to your stomach. And then you point your toes behind you. You really want to put pressure of the shoelace side, the top of your foot, down into the floor, as well as pushing your hands down into the floor. And then it's a little mini back bend. So baby cobra pushes your hands down, feet down, and then your chest rises up. It can be any amount. It doesn't matter the height of the lift, but you want to plug down in order to open your chest forward and up. Your exhale will bring belly, nose back down to the floor. You tuck both of your toes under, and then again, with your knees on the mat, a breath in pushes you up through to that high plank or modified high plank position. Then you can lift both of your knees from the mat for a full plank, and a downward facing dog lifts your hips back and up. So that's option one for a broken down vinyasa, more of a supportive option, maybe an option to use when you're just warming up in your practice. The next option we're gonna take from a forward fold. So you can look up towards your hands, you can start walking your feet up towards the hands, and bring your heels beneath your hips. Let your spine and your back round. We'll take a moment to rise up to stand with an inhale. Lift your arms up to the sky and reach up. And then exhale, you're going to hinge from your hips and fold all the way down to your mat. Take a halfway lift and lengthen your spine. And then place both of your hands back down to the ground. Step to the back, high plank. So if this is your second Vinyasa practice, it might feel good to stay on the toes with the legs powered and lifted up. If you're still working on building the strength and the technique and you want to place the knees on the ground for more support, I highly recommend using this as a foundation to build the arm strength so we're not dumping into our low back. We can keep the integrity of our spine. So take a breath in with whatever choice you made. And then your exhale again, elbows narrow, you bend all the way down to your belly to lower. So this option is just another option for a back bend. Toes will be pointed. This time your hands are wide off of your mat. You're tenting your fingers and the elbows point up towards the sky. Your inhale will find that little mini back bend. You press the hands and the feet down in order to lift your chest up and heart pulls forward. And then your exhale lowers you down to the mat. And then again, another option to build on your back bend, you can inhale, lift up your chest, find that openness in the chest. And then a twist will take your right shoulder down to the floor and you'll look over your left shoulder. An inhale picks yourself up through center, look forward. And then exhale, left shoulder down to the mat, look over your right. Inhale forward, look forward. And then exhale, down to the mat you go. And then we just want one more lift up through center to neutral out the spine. Big inhale. And then exhale to the mat, let it go. Then to release that, bring both hands beneath your shoulders again. Beside your chest, your toes are tucked, knees stay on the ground. And then with this option, you push up through that modified high plank. And then a child's pose will rock your bum to your heels at the back of your mat. And this is just more of a restorative option for a vinyasa. So a great option to take rest in between sides. Okay, so that was our second option for your vinyasa. We're gonna come to a couple more options here. So if you are someone who has low back tenderness and just too much back bending doesn't suit you or support you, you can always skip the back bends and then work more on that chaturanga with the elbows bent and build on that arm strength and the control of the lower down. So we'll break that down. Find your downward facing dog, lift the hips, move forward to your high plank position. And then again, from toes or from knees, I'll cue from knees onto the ground. It's just a low push-up. So for your vinyasa, if you're skipping that upward facing dog or that cobra, you take the elbows to bend halfway to lower. This is a chaturanga. Elbows are narrow to the side body. And then you just push your way back up to that starting position. And a downward facing dog or a child's pose will kind of close out that vinyasa. So again, just a great option to build on that arm strength, that core strength, the control of the lower down, because our chaturanga is meant to be a halfway to lower with your elbows tucked in. If you have noticed that your elbows flare out, then work with your knees onto the ground and maybe don't go all the way halfway. Go maybe a quarter of the way down and then you just build on that depth. If you have a full push-up with a long spine and strong core, again, you can always skip that upward facing dog of the back bend. And you can move forward to high plank position, or you can step back from your forward fold. Your exhale lowers to bend the elbows, chaturanga, dandasana. And then you push all the way back up to the high plank. And a downward facing dog picks up your hips. So that is a third option for vinyasa in your practice. And you can always take or leave the upward facing dog if you want it or not. And then the fourth option here is going to be a full vinyasa. So we'll do this one from a forward fold. You can come to the top of your mat, hinge from your hips, back of the legs are long. Take a halfway lift to lengthen your spine. Place both hands down onto the ground, step to the back, high plank. Your elbows bend halfway to lower down, chaturanga, dandasana. And then upward facing dog, keep your thighs lifted away from the ground. You point your toes, your hips are lifted, your hands are pushing down, and your shoulder blades draw back. So your chest is open, your gaze is lifted, your bum is squeezing. This is just a deeper version of that cobra, that little mini back bend that we explored earlier. And then it's a downward facing dog that pushes the hands down, lifts the hips back and up. You look at your toes as you let the head hang between the upper arm bones. So that is a more full expression of a traditional vinyasa. And then there's just one more option of a vinyasa that I'd like to share that is more of an advanced option. If you have that full range of a push-up, you can always add a push-up after that upward facing dog, again, building on that strength, that agility, maybe adding a little bit more cardio to your yoga practice. So let's do this one from a downward facing dog. Take an exhale in your downward dog. And then breathe your way forward, high plank position. Elbows bend halfway, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, lift your chest, squeeze your legs. Low push up, bend your elbows, tuck the toes. Push up to high plank, and downward facing dog lifts the hips. So of course that is probably the most challenging vinyasa for for a vinyasa that you can incorporate into your yoga practice. I would say if you don't have a full range of a push-up from your toes, don't add it in after an upward facing dog. Work on that push-up either from toes or knees and just find that range of motion and control in the spine so you're not dumping into your low back and you can really take your time through the movement. So try on some of these vinyasas. Incorporate them into your practice depending on how your body is feeling on the day. You can take it from low to extreme, whatever feels best for you. But I hope this video was helpful, and if you liked it, please like and subscribe. There's many more videos to come. I hope to see you very soon, so thank you.